What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Boogie2988 coming at you live as I get through the power of the internet. And this is my rambling video. It's my vlogging video. Not a lot to say this week. I'm just going to talk about life in general a little bit. Quick apology for not being able to do my gaming news show tomorrow. I really wanted to. Was not able to do it just because I kind of ran out of time. And let me tell you why. My wife left me for the week. I was going to play a joke there, but after that panic attack I had on live stream a few months back, probably not a good joke to have. But my wife had to leave for the week. She had a family member who was just getting, let's say, from a long trip and needed to get their lives reset and put everything back together. So she was up in Michigan doing that, and I chose to stay here. Mostly because she was going to have to fly, and flying for me is still quite the ordeal, especially knowing she would have to connect through Chicago O'Hare. So decided to stay here. Which is something I had not had the luxury to do for a while. But obviously with all of the weight that I've lost, I'm much better able to take care of myself. I do not trust myself to drive yet. I know a lot of people who have the surgery are driving just even a week afterwards. I do not feel comfortable driving yet because I still have a lot of dizzy spells. Very rarely while walking, very rarely while moving. Sometimes in a car, I get a little motion sick, and I'm afraid if I was behind the wheel, I might hurt somebody or hurt myself or hurt our property, but more importantly, hurt somebody else. So I wasn't really able to leave the house much, but the good news is, of course, I still have that roommate that I've lived with the last 22 years, and he was wonderful this week. He made sure anything I ever needed was taken care of, which is pretty great. Except there's a lot of stuff that a woman, my wife specifically, takes care of that, my roommate necessarily would not be able to take care of, especially when it comes to a lot of the physical stuff. My wife has had to do, help me take showers and stuff like that in the past. It sucks, just to make sure that she can be there in the room and make sure I don't fall and slip and things along that lines. But fortunately, with all of the weight loss, that's a non-scale victory. I was able to do everything I needed to do. Also, a lot of the times it would be very difficult to take care of the dog, but I've been able to take care of the dog, even going as far as to walk him a little bit. I still can't really go fully around the block, even with the walker, but I'm able to get up for about 5 or 10 minutes. I was able to clean around the house. I was able to do some of the chores. I was able to prepare my own meals. I was able to do something I haven't been able to do in a really long time. So I'm pretty happy about that. I also started playing through Final Fantasy 15. So that's where a good number of my hours went. But the reason I wasn't able to fill the gaming news show this week is because I did a podcast named Painkiller Already, PKA, over on Woody's Gamertag. I do it about once every 6 to 7 months. I like those guys over there. Their viewership is pretty good, big, and their fans, a lot of fans here, a lot of fans, mutual fans there. So it's kind of nice. I guess it's because I've done the show so often. But I think those guys are always such a blast. They got very dirty this time, and we talked about some really disgusting stuff, which it's very different from what I talk about here on YouTube. So if you ever want to see any of the podcasts I did with those guys, it's over on Woody's Gamertag channel, or search PKA Boogie. It'll bring up the episodes that I'm in. Let's see. Weight loss is starting to move a little bit. The scale is finally starting to move. We hit the 100-pound mark roughly, and I'm pretty happy about that. Having lost a full 100 pounds, I got a lot more weight to go. But, with this last week, it was a bit of a wake-up call, and I have yet to talk about this. But as I was traveling down to Retropalooza, the awesome convention, which we'll talk about towards the end of the video here, a fellow fat man and comedian by the name of Ralphie May passed. Now, I got familiar with Ralphie May in 2003 when he did Last Comic Standing. And I don't think I really cared for his sense of humor back then because most of the time his jokes were, about how fat he was, which I think is true for any comedian. You're going to have to work through that material, but he certainly did work through that material. And throughout the years, his work, he's no Louis C.K., I guess you could say, but some of his stuff was pretty good. In fact, there's a video here on YouTube, if you want to look it up after I do this video, in which he talks about going to a gay wedding, and it's one of the most amazing bits. I saw it on Reddit, and it's really, really amazing. I tuned into his Netflix special. Again, a lot of the jokes are about how fat he was, but he can be really funny. But he died at 45. I'm 43. Now, Ralphie at his biggest was much bigger than my biggest. He was on The Biggest Loser television show on NBC, losing several hundred pounds. I think when he lost that weight, and this is what made me think of him, I've lost 100 pounds. I've already lost a teenage girl, and I got a whole fat guy left to go. Poor Ralphie, he lost an entire fat guy and still had a fat guy to go, I think is what he said as he departed the show. So kind of a wake-up call. Again, for those of you, and I tweeted about this, reminding people that you need to watch your weight. You need to watch what you're doing. You need to take care of yourself. Somebody on Twitter said that I have no right to say that. It's hypocritical for me to say that. I don't think so. I think it's hypocritical for someone who's skinny to tell a fat person how to live, right? But for someone who's been fat my whole life, I can tell you how awful and damaging and disgusting being a morbidly obese person is. I can tell you what it does to your arms and your legs and your back and your knees, and I can tell you what it does to your heart and your internal organs. I can tell you that this is not a life you want to live. So when I tell you you need to take care of yourself, you need to fix your body, you need to watch your weight, you need to lose the weight if you haven't, I speak from experience, and I think better me than anyone else. That's why I trust another YouTuber here by the name of Obese to Beast. He's an incredible YouTuber who was very, very fat at his largest. And other people who have been fat and have lost the weight, I respect them more than anybody else. People in my support group on Facebook for my gastric bypass surgery, I trust them more than I trust anybody else. And especially my doctors and those types of people. At least they have a medical degree, even if they've never been morbidly obese. But take it from a morbidly obese guy. Learn from my mistakes. Do better. And if that seems hypocritical, I'm fine with that, as long as you do better. Okay? Promise me you will. That said, this last weekend, I went to Retropalooza, and I know I normally put that panel up. Unfortunately, we had a problem with my camera. I have half of the panel, and it was filmed with a shaky cam. And then I left my camera at Retropalooza. They got it to me, so I'll be able to get the first 25% of it. I would not be able to do the whole panel, and it would not be that good of quality. So my apologies if I'm not able to upload that. It is one of my favorite panels to upload. But I'm hoping in the next year I will do more. I talked to Bernie Burns on DM, and he said, why don't you come to RTX? Maybe they'll let me do something there. I would love to go to PAX South at some point. If anybody out there works at PAX, let me know. I don't know how to do these things. I've never done them. I've always been too fat to fly to them and do these things. But if you have somebody reach out from those organizations, I would be more than glad to try to do as many cons as I can within limitation. Obviously I wanted to have a big audience. I wanted to be a cool con that fits, and it'll be my style. And, I obviously, might want a little help with a hotel room or something like that if that's possible. But, in the right circumstances, we pay for our own stuff. Retropalooza, I never let Jay pay me, though he does pay for a hotel room and stuff like that, which is amazing. Retropalooza is one of my favorite cons to go to. And I'll tell you why. Not only is it some of the best fans in the world down in Texas, they are some of the nicest people. And I will tell you, one of the coolest things anybody's ever done for me, and you probably saw me stream this on Twitch earlier this week. Here is a video game called The Power of the Internet, made in RPG Maker. It was made by 2Bits LP. I played through the first 2 or 3 hours of it on stream, and it's phenomenal. She even included some handcrafted stuff here, including one of these little bead projects of my wife, one of Sammy, and one of myself. And the good news is there are 2 copies of this, one for me to keep and one for me to give away. So if you are interested in winning this, let me know in the comment section below, and I will send it to you. Also, for a while, there was a link to the video game so that anybody could play it. If you go to the Twitch VOD, you'll be able to find it there. I think she's currently out of bandwidth, so I don't know if it's got re-uploaded anywhere, but I tweeted it out once. I'll tweet it out again if you want to download the game and play it. It's really fun. Not only that, not only did people give me some wonderful gifts and wonderful items and wonderful things like that and wonderful letters, the stories that people told were incredible. I spoke to one person who had a weight loss surgery and was unsuccessful because they got the lap band. The lap band is very frequently unsuccessful, about 50% of the time. But he was unable to make it work, and we talked about why. But by the time I'd given him the time to talk, he actually ended up crying on my shoulder for a little while. And I hugged him for 5 minutes straight and told him that he was worth it and that he's a good person. And having the same girl that came last year and cried because she was so happy to meet me, she cried again this year. And meeting so many different fans this way. Probably, if you guys saw me unbox a Master Sword with its own stand, that was sent to me by a fan up in Missouri and his wife, and I was so grateful to them. They also brought gifts to the con, which including this modified lightsaber, Kylo Ren's lightsaber, modified. Well, let's see if I light it up. Will you be able to see how it's modified? Ooh, I don't know how to. There it is. Yeah, very stage realistic. They modified it by putting this stuff on it to make it look more like movie real. It's pretty badass. But more important than anything that he could ever give me, the story they had to tell, specifically hearing from her the experiences that she had with her family being similar to mine, and how my content and how my videos had helped her deal with that. It's life-changing. It's life-changing. And here's the thing. When I go to VidCon, I might get 30 seconds with somebody. Going through the busy crowd or going through my signing line, they tell me, you get 30 seconds, 60 seconds. the security chases you off. But at Retropalooza, they let me sit and talk and talk and talk. And I can spend 5 minutes with everybody, which is not enough. It's never enough, especially because my line was, 20, 50 people deep at points. But it's as much as I can get, and I love spending that time with you guys. So Retropalooza, probably my favorite con to do. I will probably consider going to the San Antonio one or the Houston one this year as well, so if you're in Texas. But I want to do more around the world because I want to meet more of you. And now that my body is getting to a point where I can, not only was I able to take care of my dog and take care of my house and take care of myself and still fit in my work and still be able to do PK and still be able to do this stuff, I'm finally getting to a point where I can travel the world, and I want to. So if you have a con, you work for one of them, call me. I'm more eager to meet more of you as best I can. That said, sorry I couldn't make it to TwitchCon this year. Hopefully next year, we'll see. And that's going to be it. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it all up. Guys, as always, thanks for watching. I love you very much, and I'll speak with you again next week, and I'll have gaming news for you then. I'm sure my sponsors are mad I didn't do it this week, but we'll bump you till next week. You'll be fine. And I know a lot of you are missing it, but I think I might have a standalone video next week talking about loot boxes. We're going to have to talk about loot boxes. Time will tell. Guys, thanks for watching. I love you very much. I'll speak with you again soon.